Hello my wildlings, and welcome back to Turnabout in Little Rodentia. In the last episode we finally got into the courtroom, and we're going to have a word with Chief Bogo here about what exactly he thinks happened. And obviously we're going to point out any flaws in his testimony. But first we'll ask him plenty of questions, press him into a corner so to speak.
You know all about the fire and the arrest itself, so I won't repeat it.
Could you please remind me again?
Right, if I was a certain other prosecutor, you would be facing a whip at this point in time.
Yeah, fair enough. Or a sword. Or any other manner of crazy shit. Coffee. Coffee was one. Moving swiftly on.
If you haven't been able to keep track of at least the reason for your client's arrest, then perhaps we need a more competent attorney.
I said attorney instead of attorney.
Oh, I'm an idiot.
On the second thought. Just continue while I still have what's left of my pride.
Instead, I will get right to the meat of this case.
Oh god. I'm going to press this, and I'm just wondering what kind of questions are going to come up. Yes, hold it right there.
So, Mr. Wright?
I think I jumped the gun there. Just continue on.
Anyway, the defendant was called here for a drug deal. Highly illegal activities.
Well, that's what the letter would suggest. But are you sure the deal occurred in the end?
Have you forgotten the evidence you yourself provided me with?
No.
This empty bottle was found at the scene of the crime by the security guard and given to Mr. Wright. Now, since it's empty, one of two things. Either the contents were spilled and lost during the fire, or the deal went through successfully. But it doesn't matter either way, for the criminal intent is obvious.
I would be inclined to agree with you there, Chief. And it places your client at the scene perfectly right.
Awkward. Oh, nothing to say. Good. Then I suggest we continue. During this, the fire began.
It's an unrelated crime. How could you blame my client for it?
Oh, that smirk. I hardly call it unrelated, right? I highly doubt the timing is a coincidence. Rather, something went wrong during or just after the deal. That's why the fire was started, if nothing else, just to erase all evidence.
Can you back those claims up?
The nature and scope of the fire will have destroyed much of what could have been crucial evidence, as what I believe was the point of the fire. However, the amount it spread was likely unintended.
Oh, speaking of, how did the fire spread so much?
The initially minor flame reached a generator within the back areas of Targoat, which then exploded. The subsequent explosion sent the flames wildly out of control.
Hence my point. Unless the defense has definitive evidence that the drug deal is, in fact, unrelated.
Oh, well, Mr. Wright, do you have such evidence?
Do I? Let's have a look. Threatening letter. Maybe, but I think I'd need more to connect it better. Camera. Nope. Maybe. Just by when the fire started. No. Phoenix glasses. No. An envelope. No. Fair enough. I do not, Your Honour.
The drug deal is most definitely related in one form or another.
Okay, yeah, I could agree with that, but probably not in the way you're thinking. Then you said in one way or another, which means that you're keeping an open mind about it, which I respect.
And as far as we can tell, the fire began after something went wrong with the deal.
Oh, very well. Add that to your testimony and then continue.
As far as we can tell, the fire began after something went wrong with the deal.
I feel like that's something I need to present there, but I don't know what. If that is the case, then who was the defendant's client?
Unknown, I'm afraid. The person behind this letter must have fled in the chaos. They're gone.
Gone, huh? Could you add that to your testimony?
Very well. The person who wrote the letter to the defendant was his client. He fled during the chaos.
Okay. Maybe. Oh, I don't know. Let's have a look at the profiles. I mean, I could... Is he here? Where's Mr. Jur? Oh, there he is, hiding beneath Mr. Gus. Well, just Gus. I don't know his surname. The forger who framed my previous client may be involved in this case. Yes, he may be. Not going to present that yet, though. Keep pressing. Have you any leads towards finding them?
I'm afraid not. As the prosecutor already pointed out, the evidence to him or her would have been destroyed.
Unfortunate. Let us hope we can still bring them to justice one day. Continue, witness.
Before Mr. Fox could escape, a security guard confronted him and later informed us.
That was Mr. Fire, correct?
Indeed, that is him. Without him, with the damage the fire caused, we would never have found Mr. Fox at all.
So the only reason you arrested my client was because of Mr. Fire? You never would have suspected for Nick otherwise?
That is true. He would have gotten away with it if it were not for Mr. Fire.
Well, that puts Mr. Fire right in my crosshairs. I see. Continue, witness.
One illegal activity led to another, costing too many lives in the process.
Is there any way the fire could have been contained?
Firefighters did everything they could, but fighting a force of nature is easier said than done.
The brave souls who battled it should be commended. Condemned? Jesus, wrong way. That's the exact opposite of what they should be. They fought long and hard to quell the flames.
Oh, I think we're all in agreement on that. Condemn them. I hate firefighters.
Your Honour, that was a simple mistake. I didn't actually mean...
Condemn them!
Moving swiftly on.
This has been trying for everyone, but after this trial is over, we can hopefully rebuild all was lost.
There must be a contradiction in there somewhere. I should think over the facts. Okay. You all know about the fire, won't repeat it, instead I'll get right to the meat of the case. The defendant was called there for a drug deal, highly illegal activity. During this, the fire began, and as far as we can tell, the fire began after something went wrong with the deal. Let's have a look. The report. The fire of Rodentia started at Targoat on July 19th between 9:30 and 9:40 p.m. Fire started out small and then spread throughout Little Rodentia. Okay. Let's have a look at the camera. Camera shows Finnick entering Little Rodentia at 9:30. That's him entering. Shows Finnick just by where the fire started at 9:30. I mean, those two pieces of evidence contradict each other in of themselves, so that's a problem. The person who wrote the letter to the defendant was his client. Was he, though? Let's try this. Let's see how it goes. Fuck. That never happened. As far as we can tell, the fire began after something went wrong with the deal. Person who wrote this letter... hang on, the threatening letter. Does this help? Maybe the letter itself. A letter inside addressed for Nick. I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place. It would appear a ghost from our recent past has come back to haunt us. Edgeworth, who found the envelope and its contents?
Actually, I did. We found it just after I left your company, Wright. Chief Bogo was there at the time, though, I might add. It was tucked away in one corner of the defendant's van. So you examined it? Actually, no, not personally. When it was found, the chief requested I hand it over. He then handed it over to his fellow officer Clawhauser to take for examination. It was he who then reported the contents to both myself and the chief.
And was Officer Clawhauser involved with the previous case you presided over?
The previous case? No, I don't believe he was on the investigation.
Oh, then no wonder he missed it. You should have examined it for yourself. Here, take a look.
Take a...
And this, of course, is the face of a man who has just been possessed by some sort of demon.
Oh, Mr. Edgeworth.
The letter holds the icon of Mr. Forger, the one I personally prosecuted for his crimes.
Oh, wait, isn't that?
Even after his conviction, he still causes trouble. It causes trouble for us. But it shows that this letter is nothing but a forgery. There was never any client, and the defendant was deliberately lured to that location on that very night. Bada bing, bada boom.
I will have order in the court. Oh, but I will say this. This certainly changes things. Mr. Jer's involvement suggests there was no client. And yet someone delivered that false letter. Oh, the defendant was tricked. The whole deal was a fake.
So it would appear. Clawhauser should have been more careful.
Well, to be fair, how would he have known?
I look forward to his next salary assessment.
Dude, no, not Clawhauser. He's adorable, leave him be.
As do I.
Whoops. Sorry, Clawhauser, but it had to be done. But yes, the drug deal was, simply put, a sham.
I cannot deny that fact. However, it hardly absolves him of the arson. As it stands, fake or not, the defendant was there for the deal, and it's now likely there was no client to meet at all. However, it is also likely that the defendant has nevertheless tried to dispose of any evidence. So, left with no client and in a compromising position, he panicked. He then started the fire to destroy the evidence of his intended crime, with tragic consequences. There's still the possibility that that's the case. There's also the possibility that he always intended the fire no matter what, that it was deliberate.
Yes, there's also the possibility that he was framed for this. Can we not forget that, please? Jesus, people.
Oh? Yeah, remember the other letter I told you about?
Other letter?
Yes, a threat was sent to Targoat the day before the incident. According to the chief, it was confirmed as his writing, another reason for his arrest.
You really need to take a closer look at these letters, Edgeworth. You might find that your time here be a little less embarrassing that way. Also, it might mean that poor Clawhauser doesn't have his pay deducted so much.
After the drug deal was discovered, I thought he was gloating about it, while not disclosing the exact crime. And the fire was simply a resultant of that activity.
But yes, it is possible that the fire was intended from the start. However, Chief Bogo, could you let me examine that personally for a moment?
Yes, here you are. Gah!
Seems Edgeworth noticed. Oh, good, I don't have to point it out for him. And Bogo, after going off about Clawhauser, didn't. Oh, he's never going to live this one down. Not that I'm going to say that to his face. Yeah, I hear it can take up to 3 days for someone to die after being gored by a bull, so it's probably not a good idea. I think the defense already has something to say, so please just say it already. So, my client intended this from the start. Please share your reasoning.
If I must.
Well, this one should be an easy one. I already know what evidence to present. Well, I say that now and I'm probably going to make a stupid mistake. Oh well.
It's likely that rather than acting on impulse, the fire was intended from the start. And it would seem he was rather boastful about it. He did, after all, brag about it to the intended victim by sending that note.
Yes, well, good on paper. But the reality is, in a way, unfortunate for you. From you, I've come to expect much better, Chief. But I suppose we all have our off days. God, you're condescending. And that might just be my voice. It's probably just the voice I've given you, but... Well, then again, that expression is also very condescending. Right, put the witness out of his misery.
Well, if you insist.
Right, I don't mean like that. Oh, where did you even get that? Well, you know how prosecutors usually are with me. You know, whips, swords, coffee, that kind of thing. I just felt the need to defend myself, you know? I see. That isn't lethally loaded, is it? Of course, rubber bullets. All fine. Put that down there. Already on it.
Oh, I don't like where this is going.
Well, I'll make it short. I might not. I might keep pressing you just to make it last longer.
It's likely that rather than acting on impulse, the fire was intended from the start. And it would seem he was rather boastful about it. He did, after all, brag about it to the intended victim by sending that note.
Yeah, I'll keep this short for you. Threatening letter. Sent to Targoat, has the symbol of the eagle on it. I'm sorry, Chief, but you've made a glaring error. For this contains the same mark as the first letter sent to my client. The mark of forger.
What? But how did I...
Oh, my word. Oh, so both letters are forgeries. The threat was a fake, as was the deal itself.
Falsities all round, it would seem. This raises many interesting questions surrounding the incident. But surely the chief of the police should have noticed the mark. Officer Clawhauser wasn't involved in the previous incident, but you were. Just gonna say this, Edgeworth, do you really want to do that? I mean, you are wearing a... I don't know, is that red? It's kind of red. A kind of red jumper, shirt, top thing. It's a suit. Jesus. I don't know fashion. I'm sorry. But anyway, you're wearing red in front of a bull. Not a good idea.
And you're the prosecutor in charge of the investigation. If only you had bothered to examine it yourself, the blame lies with you as much as I.
I suppose I trusted the police too much. Uh-oh.
What did you say, prosecutor?
Well, this is awkward.
I will have order. It doesn't matter who was responsible. It is done. Now, would the defense please explain what this means?
Right, of course. Simply, it means that the theory of the fire being predetermined is all but debunked. Ugh, words. Someone called my client to a fake drug deal and sent an equally fake threat to Targoat. The fact that my client's writing is seemingly on the threat doesn't matter, as it was created by a master forger. The presence of a third party is undeniable.
Oh, could this be our mysterious friend once again?
I wouldn't exactly call him a friend, Your Honour.
Ah, well, you know what they say. There are no strangers, just friends you haven't met yet.
Sir, if it was him, he just burnt hundreds of people to death.
Oh, well, as you said earlier, we all have off days.
Sir, really?
Well, you know, I once burnt a child once. It was an accident, I swear. He tried to throw me off the pogo stick, and I kind of threw a cake at him. I didn't realise it still had the candles lit on it. It was my bad. It was a mistake. It happens.
I think I've learned far more about you today, Your Honour, than I'd ever want to. I highly doubt it. Mr. Jur already confirmed his business with that individual, but it was only once. But Mr. Jur has had other clients. This would be one of them. Besides, this doesn't change the fact that Mr. Fox is the culprit.
What?
Well, we now know a third party is involved who pulled the strings. But if a client never showed, then Mr. Fox is still the only suspect. But if the deal was fake, what was the motive? That point is still contested. Oh, this has all been a pointless detour. Before the witness interrupted, I was just saying that, and I quote, "However, it is also likely that the defendant has nevertheless tried to dispose of any evidence. He had panicked when realizing he had been set up and tried to burn the evidence. The fire grew out of control as a result." But what about the falsified threat? Based on the evidence the court has seen, I can now create a theory about the night's events. Mr. Jur's client was targeting Finnick Fox. For what reasons I cannot know. They sent him to Little Rodentia to a fake drug deal near Targoat, and then sent a warning to Targoat in the form of that threat. Also, the staff of Targoat would catch him in the act and inform the ZPD, an act that would lead to his arrest. It fits with the evidence, and thus that is my reasoning.
No! Oh, it's always been a pleasure to see Mr. Edgeworth's legendary logic at work. Oh, I find myself convinced it does seem to fit with what we all know. The defendant was set up by a third party and he panicked. Whoosh! The flames began a night of nightmares. Night of Nightmares. That was the name of my old rock band, back when I had a full head of hair. I swung that back and forth. 'Cause I swing my hair back and forth. I whip my hair back and forth. Now in my old age, all I do is I whip my rocking chair back and forth. I miss the good old days.
Oh, do we need the sound effects, Your Honour? There's got to be something else we're missing. Oh, if the court isn't quite yet convinced, I can provide testimony to erase those final doubts.
Oh, to bring the case to a solid close, I say we let the prosecutor continue.
And, who will provide this testimony? I call Mr. Fire, the security guard of Targoat, to the stand. The security guard? Great, the guy who witnessed my client at the scene, and the one who gave me that evidence. This is bad. Oh god, what was his voice?
Oh, hey there! Here and ready to play my part. Here and ready to play my part.
Isn't that the radio that guy who kidnapped Mia used? Oh, yes. I guess maybe it's just a coincidence.
Oh, what in the... a radio? Oh, I knew those things were full of witchcraft. Witchcraft, I tell you! Burn it! Burn it now! Just banging his gavel away. Guilty! Guilty of witchcraft!
He was too small for the podium, so we saw it prudent for him to sit in the prosecutor's lobby and use the radio instead. Here is a picture of the witness for his honour's reference.
Oh, I see. Pass it over. Holy spy gadgets! Oh, you seem... well equipped.
I take my job seriously. I am the best in the business.
The best? Name and occupation for the record.
Fire security guard.
Oh, well then, Mr. Fire. Could you please testify as to what you saw that night?
Of course, right away.
Edgeworth intends to finish it here. It's sink or swim. I must find a contradiction.
I witnessed him. Oh, that day started out like any other in Little Rodentia. And then night fell. The horror started here. I was on duty as always. Nothing was out of the ordinary. But then the fire occurred, starting out small, incognito almost. And then boom! It must have reached the generator, which then exploded. I ran out to catch the culprit who fled, but not before I could get a good look at him. And then the action led to his arrest, and this very trial.
Oh, so you did indeed see the defendant there. Oh, was there anyone else?
Oh no, it was just him.
Leaving him the only possible culprit.
Oh, well, I don't see the point, but the defence may begin its cross-examination of the witness.
Thank you, Your Honour. Good to see your confidence in me. It's not like I've ever done this before. Like multiple times. I literally have a name for it as the Turnabout King. When will you learn? Anyway, we'll have a chat with this witchcraft radio in the next episode, and I'll see you all then. Bye-bye.